Hi everyone, this is Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and a big warm hello to my subscribers. Today I am bringing you a Dollar Tree do-it-yourself planter hacks, and as always I hope you enjoy the show. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. For our first Dollar Tree planter upgrade, you're going to need a planter and some of that crushed glass. I think that's just sea glass. And I'm using some Mod Podge, and I'm going to go ahead and Mod Podge around the rim of this planter. You need to do that because the glass won't stick directly on the plastic. I'm choosing this, I guess it's a tan color burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree, but I've also seen the burlap ribbon at Dollar Tree in the exact color green that I'm using. I just couldn't find it this time for this DIY, but if you find the green one, that would be a better choice. And you have to just Mod Podge that ribbon all around the top and put Mod Podge on the top of it as well. You really want to secure the ribbon down so that it doesn't move. And this is what it should look like when you're all done. Next, once it's dry, you're going to be gluing the crushed glass little pieces all around the border. Now, I did use Gorilla Glue for this because I wanted it to be extra strong. I recommend you use that. There's also a great hot glue that I have down below in my description box. It's hot wood glue, but actually when you go to Amazon and you read about it, it's meant for glass, plastic, all kinds of different things. It's just a super strong industrial strength glue that you can use for this. So as you can see, I just squirted a bunch of hot glue in rows, and then I sprinkled some of the sea glass on top of it, and then I used that spatula. A lot of people ask me about where I get that spatula from. That is a 100% silicone spatula that you can get in the makeup section at Dollar Tree, and it helps you prevent little burned fingers from the hot glue. You can use your hand to push them down, but the hot glue does kind of ooze around, and I did burn my hand a little bit. You do press really, really hard, and what happens is all the sea glass, or most of it, will sink down into little slots where it fits. Most of it will go into the hot glue and adhere as long as you're pressing really hard. And then you do have to touch up here and there. Like, I wanted all of the ribbon to be covered, so I took my time. This probably took about 4 hours. I covered really high up at the top on the edge there and on the bottom, but this is absolutely a stunning and beautiful way to upgrade a cheap Dollar Tree planter. Next, I found this really pretty shaped planter. I didn't like the color blue. I mean, it's a pretty blue, it's just not my style, and I wanted to give it a little bit of a facelift because I thought it looked kind of cheap. So I found these napkins at the Dollar Tree about a month ago. They might still be there, but it's rare for my Dollar Tree anyway to get any kind of flowered napkins that you can use to decoupage things. So I was pretty excited about that. And I just gave it one coat of white chalk paint. I'm not worried about whether or not it's perfect because the napkins are going to cover it, and I'm not worried about the inside either. I just did a little bit just in case some of it peeks through when I have some plants inside it, but I mainly focused just on putting the napkin down. Now I want to do a technique that I think will be pretty, and it does require that the napkins have a little bit of wrinkling. It's kind of like I wanted this to almost look like it was painted on plaster. So I start off by using the Mod Podge, and just, you see what I'm doing here, I'm just gluing the napkin down all over it. I'm going to cover the entire planter, and then where there's too much white left from the napkin, I go ahead and add a little bit more color there because I didn't want, it's okay for some white to show, but if it was too big, I thought it looked better if I covered it. So I just added a little bit more of the napkin. And I do have a spray bottle of water next to me, and I use it as necessary, either to help smooth the napkin down a little bit if it gets too sticky and my fingers are sticking, that kind of thing, and also just to help the whitewash we're going to do in a minute here spread a little bit easier. So this is a little trick. I was pretty sure I could I was pretty sure it was going to come out the way I wanted, but I want this to look like plaster of Paris that is painted with old paint on that's kind of chipping, which is why you want some wrinkles in it. You want it to look old and weathered. That's kind of the natural little distressing. It's just a really, really cool look when I'm done. I just take my white chalk paint, water it down with some water, and as you can see, I'm adding some more water because we want this to be like a whitewash. We definitely don't want it to cover the pretty little design underneath. We just want it to look like it's a plaster of Paris that is painted. And this is the perfect way to create that beautiful illusion. Now you see me using my fingers here because I have more control control, making it look more white where I need it to look more white so it looks authentic, but it comes up absolutely perfect. Check this out. Next, I grabbed one of these Dollar Tree black planters and some of their pop-out little white adhesive dots, and we're going to go ahead and give this plant pot a really cool upgrade. So I'm taking some masking tape and I'm balancing it on some masking tape, and I'm putting the jar of homemade white chalk paint inside the planter just to hold it down, and this is a perfect way to apply these so that they don't stick to the table on the other side and come off. Now I went ahead and did them evenly as best I could. You could do them randomly, you could do them all over, or just half of the pot. I just wanted to do the top rim kind of almost halfway down, not quite. If you want to know my recipe for my homemade chalk paint too, there is a link down below in my description box. Now to stop those little dots from being sticky, you just give them one coat of the Mod Podge. You could use glue, anything like that, and once it's dry, they're no longer sticky. So they're a little sticky on the sides. So what I did is I took it outside and gave it 2 coats of clear matte polyacrylic protective finish, and voila, we're all done. We have a beautiful planter. This next one is a super cute one. You find these little glass containers over where the candles are, at least that's where they were in my Dollar Tree, and they have little bumblebees on the top. We're going to be using some of this Gorilla super glue to glue them together. Don't throw away the lids. I am going to make a DIY with at least 2 of them in upcoming videos. But you glue them together just like that, and then I grabbed these succulents also from the Dollar Tree. Aren't they cute? Oh my gosh, their succulents are so cute this year. I swear they've got better quality ones than they did the previous year. Maybe not, but they look so cute. And then I grabbed some of these white stones, and we're going to go ahead and use, now I'm using again Gorilla hot glue all throughout this video because these are planters and some of them will be outside. This one won't. This is actually perfect for a little home office, a windowsill, a little shelf. My daughter-in-law actually took these and put them on her vanity where she does her makeup because she loves succulents. But I just glued the little white rocks in there, glued the little succulents down, and voila, super, super cute. So I found this plastic bucket. It's supposed to be like a faux wooden bucket at the Dollar Tree, also in the planter section, and I thought it looked totally fake, especially the inside. It looks like plastic, and I thought, you know what, I can definitely give this a facelift. So I'm taking my white chalk paint. It's just acrylic paint mixed with, I actually have the whole recipe. I have several recipes you can choose from, and the video link is down below again in my description box. But if you're going to put this outside, you might want to use a base paint that's a lot stronger, like a primer or a latex paint mixed with primer, that kind of thing. You can even spray paint this with primer first. If you are going to use just chalk paint, you're definitely going to want to seal this with a polyacrylic or clear varnish when you're done so it can withstand weather changes. Mine's going to be indoors, so I'm just using a simple homemade chalk paint that the base of it is just an acrylic crafting paint. I think if you used chalk paint like Waverly or Rust-Oleum, you still would need to seal this if it's going to be outside. So now I'm taking a baby wipe. It's a Huggies baby wipe. It's their natural line in the white package, which is mostly water. And I'm just hitting each plank with some antiquing wax. I'm using the Faux brand. Any brand will do. And I'm going to be quite generous for the center there in the middle because I hate the inside of this bucket. That one I definitely want to improve. So look at that. Look at that. Already a huge improvement, you guys. We have a faux looking wood on the inside of this bucket now. I'm going to go ahead and tackle the top part using gray paint and try and make it look like a metal. You could go a darker gray if you wanted. I wouldn't go lighter. I think you have to kind of stick with either this color gray, doesn't matter what brand, or darker. And I guess maybe you could do black. I mean, there is such a thing as black metal. You could do that if you like that look, but I'm going to go ahead and try and give it more of a silver looking metal around the top and the bottom. So I paint that with, again, just apple barrel, acrylic paint. And now I'm using one of the furniture markers from the Dollar Tree. These come in a set of 3, and one of them is a very dark color. It's almost black. It might be black, I'm not sure. And I'm just going to give faux shadows to the wood planks. I couldn't think of anything else to do. I mean, I had to do something with them, so we chose black. And then I use some more Folk Art brand metallic and sterling silver paint to cover the gray to try and make it look a little bit more like it's metal. So when we were all done, I felt like there was still room for improvement. I think it's the texture of the plastic. It actually became more apparent when I put the pearlescent paint on, so then I tone it down using my favorite color for faux rust, which is Nutmeg by Apple Barrel Paint, and I just dry brush it on there, and I'm really happy. I think this is a great improvement from where we started. Let me know what you think. They have some super cute garden signs, by the way, at the Dollar Tree. I grabbed this one. I'm going to be using it for something else. And I grabbed a 4-pack of these little mini plant pots for a super cute idea that I had. So we're going to start off by painting this with 1 coat of my homemade white chalk paint. And the object, of course, is to get the paint brush strokes in there because that's going to help it look more like faux wood, which is what we're going to be doing. And then I give the plastic pots a coat of white chalk paint too. You kind of have to, because when you're dealing with any of the plastic plant pots from the Dollar Tree, they all look obviously plastic and they look cheap right off the bat. So you have to paint them, at least you have to start with a base of paint, and the brush strokes help hide that it's plastic and that kind of thing. But now I'm taking the antique wax again and I'm applying it. Again, you can use a stain, you can use whatever you want. I'm just using up my wax. And when it's wax and I don't water it down and I don't use a baby wipe, it does tend to be a little sticky. So what I do is I just hold my brush at the bottom really firm and then kind of scratch it on there on purpose so we get those nice strong faux wood lines that look like wood grain. Now I'm taking a paper towel and I'm taking a little bit of the Nutmeg Brown from Apple Barrel Paint, and I'm going to go ahead and tap this on all over, kind of like what you see in those videos when they're showing you how to do faux granite countertops. They use paper towels sometimes and tap the countertop. We're going to be doing that with these. So just like what I did with the number 2 planter, where I whitewashed over the decoupage napkins to get a plaster of Paris look, we're going to be doing it to these pots as well. This is a fantastic technique to use when your little plant pots from the Dollar Tree have cute designs on them and you don't want to cover them. So if you start adding things like baking soda, plaster of Paris, spackling, joint compound, caulking, anything like that, sand, anything, if you start doing that, you risk getting a really thick paint and you're going to lose your design. So this is, again, a great method to make your little pots look like clay. Look at how good that looks. And look, you can still see that pretty design. It's a great method for that. So I just glued these down on top of that little plank to create 3 little cute plant pots in a row that we can pick up and move easily because they're on top of that board and they won't fall off. See, they're stuck. We're going to add a little bit of greenery and then we're going to add this to my mantle for a super cute summer decor piece. Using this super cute free printable I found at the graphicsfairy.com that will be down below in my description box, I took some computer paper and some watered down brown paint, put it in a spray bottle also from the Dollar Tree, and just squirted the paper, set it aside to dry. And then using this bucket I found at the Dollar Tree, it's a new item this year, I'm using 1 coat of my white chalk paint over one side of the writing. Now I know you could use acetone maybe to get this off. I didn't have any acetone, so I couldn't try it. You could give it a try, but the white chalk paint was going to work perfect, so I used that. So I really like this new bucket. I think it's so cute. On one side it has a little farmhouse saying, and then on the other side it also has the saying, but I thought, wouldn't it be fun to make this like a two-sided planter? Because sometimes, you know, if you're in the mood to change it up and make it more like a cottage core look or a French country look or a shabby chic look, that is easy enough to do. So once that little printable is dry, I tear it out so the edges are nice and ragged, and I Mod Podge it down onto this bucket, used my antiquing wax to give it a nice border, and we ended up with a super cute two-sided planter. This next DIY is super simple and super foolproof for those of you that just want to upgrade the planters into a high-end look but don't want to spend a lot of time with details. You just use that paint from the Folk Art line. It comes, that metallic brand actually comes in silver, brass. It comes in all different kinds of metallic colors. I love the brass one, and I'm just giving it 1 coat. Took it outside and gave it 2 coats of this protective finish polyurethane, and it's that simple. You end up with a super cute, high-end looking, inexpensive planter. These are a great find at the Dollar Tree. They're macrame or crochet plant hangers that you can buy to hang your plant pots, and they're great for that. But did you know you can also take them apart to make stunning DIYs? This is like a super pretty braided macrame or crochet type thread, and it's perfect for making your own DIY planter. That's what we're going to use it for today. I'm going to start off with one of the Dollar Tree planters. You can use any one you want, and I'm going to cover it with masking tape so that my hot glue has something to adhere to. Next, use a hard object to press out the wrinkles. I'm using the end of my scissors just to make it as flat as possible. When I was all done with this, I took my hot glue and started to glue this cord all the way around this planter. Now I did end up using 2 of the hanging planters for this DIY. So when I was all done with this DIY, I did end up changing my mind about what I wanted to do at the top, so I took the tape off, and then I realized I didn't need to take the tape off. So if you do this DIY, you can go ahead and leave the tape on. Next, I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree towering blocks there. I'm going to put them in one of their little silver baking dishes. I'm just going to put them nice and flat. This is a super quick way. If you are not into the coffee staining or tea staining, which is very time consuming, and your wood gets soggy and then you have to lay them out to dry, you know, if you're just a get it done type person like I am, watered down brown paint works perfect for this. You just shake it up in a squirt bottle. I just bought my squirt bottle from the Dollar Tree, and boom shakala, you have beautifully stained towering blocks. You don't have to mess around with brewing coffee or tea or waiting a long time for them to dry. They're dry in like 10 minutes. And the really great thing about this method is that you can use different color browns to play around with different color stains that you want to stain your towering blocks with. So the next thing I did was take a furniture pen in black, and I'm going to go ahead and create a really cute border on the top of this plant pot. Once that was dry, I went ahead and started gluing my towering blocks around the top. And I'm using hot glue because a hot glue now will stick to the cord that you glued down. And I'm kind of shoving them up under that rim to lift the rim up just a little bit. And once I've done it all the way around the plant pot, I go ahead and make a cute little design on the end of the towering blocks. And this is what we end up with. This cute and heavy ceramic round is found where the plant pots are. A lot of them come with like butterflies and flowers on, the gray ones. You're really looking for this one because it's nice and flat. And then I grabbed 3 of those little mini plant pots, and I took a thin screwdriver and just twisted and punctured 2 holes on the bottom of each one. And then I'm going to poke 2 holes at the top side of 2 of them. Next, I'm going to use a black plastic tie. You can also get this at the Dollar Tree, and just thread it through like that so that I can connect those on the edge of the planters. Now, my first idea for this planter was to make kind of like one, I guess it looked like a fountain maybe. And so I'm going to show you here. I glue it like this. I glue one upside down and one right side up, and then the 2 at the top. And I do end up giving this one support at the top too. So I'm showing you the process that I went through because, again, I changed my mind. I love doing that, and I encourage you guys to do that too when you're creating. Just have fun, go with the flow. So I'm going to take 2 of the towering blocks now and just glue it underneath there like that so that it holds it up a little bit straighter. I didn't want it to be flopping. I mean, that is a cute look. You can have them kind of flopping sideways and turned sideways like that at an angle, but I just wanted mine to sit straight up when everything was said and done, and the 2 towering blocks worked perfect as a brace underneath it. So again, I do end up taking the 2 at the bottom apart because I decide I like this look. And this is how you do it if you want to do it on a huge scale. You just stake something. It can be wood, it can be metal, and you thread it through like that. These are the Dollar Tree plant pots with the Dollar Tree garden stake that is just, you know, they drill a hole at the bottom and they thread it through. So that's how you do it if you want it really big. So I took that outside, I sprayed it lightly with some chalk paint, and then I'm just tapping my brush with a little bit of the gray paint from Apple Barrel on the surface of this to start with. So I'm showing you this part because this shows you how I got the final look, and it's important, even though I end up changing my mind and taking it apart, like right now. I'm ripping it apart. I used a little bit of super glue, so I was trying not to break the plant pot, but I got it off successfully. Then I used my cuticle clippers. Those are from the Dollar Tree. By the way, those are a great tool for crafting in a craft room. It allows you to do small detail work, lift things up. They're wonderful for that. So I'm taking all of the glue off, and once I do that, I repaint the bottom of that sign solid white. And this time for the top one, I don't use a twist and tie. I just use a little support because this is going to be indoors and it's going to be in like a bay window, so it doesn't need really heavy duty twistums on the top because it's lighter. The bottom I wanted to use the little plastic tie because it has more weight, obviously, because there's 2 pots on top. But I knew the top one would stay just fine with some strong hot glue, and it will stay just fine for you too. So that's what we end up with right there, and I finish off tapping out my gray paint all over it, and then I'm going to take some of the Folk Art antique wax and I'm going to go ahead and tap it on as well. And you'll see that I tap it and then I kind of brush it and smear it a little bit, and I'm just trying to get a look. We're going Italy today, guys. We're going the Italian look. This is actually my favorite, or one of my favorites in today's video. It comes up so cute and looks very, very Italian, and I just love it. So all I did was a gray paint, then a little bit of the wax, and then I did Wait just a minute, I'm looking at this. I just tapped a little bit of white paint over the gray paint here and there. It was so small, like you can see it right there. But if you want that look, that's what I did. And then I tapped the antique wax over it to get this look. And again, I didn't add any baking soda, no spackling, no joint compound, nothing to detract or take away from the design from the Dollar Tree little planters. And it comes up absolutely stunning. I love this one. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. It really does help my channel grow, and I appreciate it more than I can say. And as always, until the next one, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.